Hey guys, I wanted to cover with a video a product that I'm really excited about. It's a new design. It's been out for a couple weeks. Um, I really think the details of this need to be done in video format to eliminate a lot of questions and possible confusion as to what you're looking at. So I'm going to jump right in. The design was really envisioned when I just built my last controller utilizing individual stepper drivers. I realized really quick the typical power supply that only has 6 total outputs, 3 for positive, 3 for negative, simply just doesn't cut it. I mean, if you have a 3-axis system, you probably can make it work. It's definitely going to be tedious. It's just a drawback in a lot of ways. One of the things you're going to encompass really soon when you go to build your controller yourself, utilizing individual stepper drivers, is every stepper manufacturer wants you not to utilize daisy chaining when it comes to wiring the drivers. And this is under best practice. This makes sense. I totally agree with it, and I don't deviate from that. So that being said, I then started researching terminal bus bars, terminal brackets. There's tons of them on the market, but nothing really for what I was looking at. I wanted something that was versatile. I wanted something that I could expand with. I wanted something that was as simple for the end user as possible. And so that made me start engineering a design that I'm real proud of, and I think it's covered everything and maybe even then some more in versatility. And I think that's why a video really does this justice. So I'm going to jump right in now on what you're looking at. Um, this design I want to cover right now and just say real quick, this particular design is not available through my eBay store yet. Um, Basically, if you want this design, you can contact me. How I came up with this design is by utilizing 2 of my individual power distribution units. You have, of course, the red for positive and the black for negative. Well, again, if you were to go through my store, you'd have to buy 1 bracket and then 1 bracket, meaning one of these comes per section. If you purchased 2 and you said you wanted to do the modular power assembly, I could put together the package for you and we could sell it as a group bundle at a discount. What you're looking at essentially is an over-under power distribution unit utilizing about 3.5 inches in total horizontal space. What's amazing about this, guys, is again you're only running 1 lead from your positive, 1 lead from your ground to your power supply. Once you do that, and this is mounted in your chassis, and I think one of the things that can't be overlooked is, again, you can go on a vertical platform or you can go on a horizontal platform, whichever you feel you require for your chassis. You then have 4 toolless power distribution terminals. Now, that being said, what resembles 4 actually can be up to 8 when you utilize a small spacer, typically a washer, in between more ring terminals, and these are gold plated and included with a single bracket purchase. And if you purchase this package specifically, I would include 8. How that would actually work is, like I said, you put the spacer in between there. Once you put that small spacer in between there, it gives you enough clearance to then apply another terminal, basically splitting this top and this bottom power distribution rack into 8 outputs. Really, really simple design, guys. The other interesting thing is you'll see 2 thumb nuts on the negative power distribution bar. And the reason I did that is so that once this is mounted in your chassis, wherever it may be, if you need to get to the lower assembly where your positive rack is, you just simply undo these 2 thumb nuts and you're there in seconds. Manipulating your power or checking your hookups has never been as easy as this. I've never seen a design as easy as this. One of the things I also wanted to encompass, the nylon that's used to fabricate this is 4.3 millimeter in thickness. It then goes into the galvanized bracket, which then is terminal through screws, of course, and nuts. This will easily handle 50 amps in heat, DC all the way, which basically encompasses any CNC controller on the market to date that I can think of. You're really not limited anymore as far as expansion, as far as modular capability, which I'm going to cover now, and I think this cannot be understated. This is only 3.5 inches in width, guys. When you think about that, as long as your power supply can fit in your chassis, you now can put your power wherever you want where your drivers are. You can shorten the distance between the wiring, which I encompassed in my new build. That makes you save lots of money on wiring, time. Again, once the terminals are soldered, you can basically manipulate this at will. Everything is extremely durable. It's all screw and nut. There's no tapping. There's none of that. It's all screw nut designed for strength and durability and simplicity. Again, you do utilize what I did here just to give you guys a visual example. Is this is 1-inch spacing right here, and the bottom one is also utilizing a 1-inch spacer. You can, of course, modify this system to encompass 1/4-inch spacing, 1/4-inch, 1/2 inch, whatever you require to give you clearance from your chassis and clearance from the positive terminal. Once that's done, you can basically utilize this set in any chassis you can imagine. As long as you can fit it in the height, you're good. Another key feature that I cannot emphasize more than this, and I mean this is pretty amazing in the sense that I've never seen anything like this on the market, and I'm really excited about this one option because it's going to really eliminate a lot of hassle with guys looking for more power that typically is not offered without spending a fortune. I offer 600 watt power supplies as standard. A lot of guys don't. That's their option. I mean, I try to keep it as basic as possible, but 12.5 amps usually covers the majority of the market. There are guys that need more than that. I mean, they're running a lot of different hookups. They're running relays. If that's the case, one of the interesting things about this system being as versatile as it is you may need more than the typical 4 that leads to 8, which is really 8 terminal outputs of possibility. In that situation, you would then modify this bracket. I can modify it for you with a 7-pin terminal, which would give you 14 total outputs. Okay, the only difference being the length of the bracket. If you can deal with the length horizontally, you're good to go. If you can't, then we can modify it in height. Now, that's something that no one offers. What do I mean by that? What you guys see here with the over-under design, this is one module assembly, which again would contact one power supply, yielding power distribution to all your componentry. If, however, you utilize smaller spacers, you can then add another 2 power distribution terminals, one for positive, one for ground, and utilize dual power supplies. You are no longer limited to single power supply output. This system gives you the availability to utilize redundant power supplies, very similar to servers, guys. This, again, I can't emphasize that enough. If you needed to put a system together with 1200 watts of power output, you could utilize 2 of my power supplies and you've got basically, what, 25 amps available? I mean, if you needed that, you could do it, and what's really amazing is you're doing it at a fraction of the price. A 25 amp 48 volt power supply, very pricey. This option leaves you available to basically run parallel power supplies, and you're able to do it because you're not connecting the power supplies in a parallel fashion, typically through the terminals. So what you're doing is segregating your terminals by running one power supply and then the other. I mean, it's truly amazing. If you really think about it, this is the one option that you can grow with. Let's say you install the 4 leads right now. You've got the 4 terminal block unit right here. You install this in your system. You expand it. You need this. You're adding spindle cooling. You're adding different relays. We can go bigger brackets. You could still utilize the same thing, and you're just expanding. like I said, versatility is priority. Versatility and simplicity. The toolless fashion on this, I really can't emphasize enough how simple this is. Once it's installed in your chassis and you pick the location, of course, you can virtually pick and choose everything you can imagine as far as toollessly coming over and manipulating the thumb nuts. It takes seconds. Once wiring is done, it takes seconds. It keeps everything neater. I can cover the gambit, but I think you guys get the point. One of the big things that I also can't emphasize enough, what you see here where the nylon bracket is mounted 90 degrees to the galvanized terminal bar, you can actually loosen up the bolt assembly and mount these horizontal in the same fashion that the terminal bar is, if you choose to. Now, horizontally, you'd be taking up more space, but there are some guys that would like to do that for different purposes. You have the option to do that. There is no other terminal assembly on the market that offers what this system does. I mean, and I can't stress enough how once you go to do individual stepper drive assemblies and daisy chaining becomes an issue, not only daisy chaining, excuse me, but on breakout boards, typically you may find only one output for ground, but you have 3 drives, 4 drives. Well, you've got to, one way or another, figure out what are you going to do to split that ground. Well, once again, these come in handy. Again, you've got black to symbolize your grounds. You can go red for different colors. It really pays for itself after the install. The first time you have to manipulate something, adjust something, remove something, add something, I can't emphasize it. This will literally save you time and money. One of the big things that I've had happen, most guys have, if you do experience a drive issue and you screwed everything in, and I see some really beautiful builds. I've seen some really amazing builds, but one of the things I always notice is that everything is screw mounted. Well, that's great unless there's an issue. And then you're in there for hours trying to get everything out and manipulate it and, to get that one component, one stepper driver. Again, I'm trying to keep it simple, trying to make it as end user friendly as possible. I think I've accomplished it. I'm really curious to anyone if anybody does buy the system and is utilizes it. Tell me what you think. You can message me through eBay with any of your questions. I'm virtually on there all the time. And again, I'm always willing to work around your requirements. There's nothing I can't come up with you together that we can figure out to make it happen. Let me know what you think. Good luck with your build. Take care.